Willie D. Live.
When you say your stepdad, this was the guy that your foster mom remarried?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so married to after after your
adopted dad.
Yes, died. Did you ever get a chance to meet your biological mom?
I did not. So she was murdered when I was little. And then, but the interesting thing is right before January the 6th, because my adopted mom had told me about this guy who was one of the cowboys that worked for my adopted parents, right? And she said, I think this guy, Jeff Bates, is your dad. And so I reached out to him on Facebook and I was like, hey, man, my adopted mom, before she passed, was telling me that she thinks you're my father. And I was talking to him and he was like, he goes, I don't think I'm your dad. And he goes, but then he was like, well, if you need a dad, like I'll be your dad. And I was like, I don't need a dad. That's not what I'm more interested in anything, just having like the medical history of my family or knowing like your relatives and stuff like that. I don't need somebody to pretend to be my father. Right. So it was funny. But so I did one of those ancestry DNA kits and got my DNA, and it gave me, where I'm descended from and all this stuff. Well, it shows like distant cousins and then it shows like close relatives that you share a lot of DNA with. And there was one lady that was only one person that was a really close relative to me. And her name was, I think it was Gayla. And so I was like, I don't know any Gayla. So I messaged the guy who I was thinking might be my father. And I said, do you know somebody named Gayla? And he was like, that's my sister. And I was like, there it is. I said, well, come to find out, you are my dad, So I waited.
But you never took a DNA test with him?
Well, so this was right before January the 6th. So I took a Ancestry DNA. I ordered one and had it mailed to him. Well, he sent it in. And then I looked like a few weeks later and it popped up and it was like, your father his name's Jeff Bates, but he is your father. And so,
wow.
So but then I got arrested like a month or two later after January the 6th. And so I hadn't had a chance to meet him.
Had a chance to
I hadn't even really thought about it till you brought me down this hole right here in this conversation. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. But
wow, man, that's interesting. Damn, man, you got to book that, man. You probably got 2 books.
Yeah, we good. Man.
Damn. That's an amazing story, man. Yeah. You so what is the plan now? I see you here with Trey 9. Mm-hmm. Trey, really solid dude in the community, been putting in work for a long time. How did you guys hook up?
I'm a part of Charm Prison Ministry here in Houston, and my mentor David Trickett and Trey 9 have been doing prison ministry for years, and been going into prisons together. Trey came, I believe, to Carol Vance when I was at Carol Vance Unit. But, we've actually gone into prisons together. Like, since I got out, I got on staff at Charm Prison Ministry, and we actually went in and did events in prison together. So I've been going in and sharing the gospel and going back and reaching out to the men in the prisons with Trey. And so, he interviewed me the other day, and, he's been a blessing. And that's the thing for me is, like, all this other stuff, January 6th and all these other things, like I'm sure there's something in my life story that a lot of people are going to be able to relate to out there. But I think the most important thing out of all of this is the sacrifice that Jesus Christ made on the cross for all of us. Now, you don't have to accept it. You can reject it. But I feel like that the only reason that I'm standing here today is because of the new heart that he gave me and the sacrifice that he made for me. And so that love, like the love that he instilled in my heart, gives me the heart to want to reach back to those men in prison, the men and women behind the fence, and try to change that. You know what I mean? And so that's why, while I was in prison for this, I started a foundation for justice reform. I want to help the January 6th families get back on their feet, but I also want to help change that prison system, man, because we've got to we owe it to our citizens and our brothers and sisters behind that fence to do better. We owe them that, man, and we owe it to each other and to our communities and our children and everybody else to do that, because they all in there behind the fence, they got kids and family that want them to do well and want them to succeed and need them to be dad or need them to be son or whatever it is, and they need them to be out here working in these factories or doing jobs or whatever it is. And so we need to heal these communities. We need to bring these communities together. And I like how you said that. We all want to do better, but we got to do it together. And I think we got an opportunity. I may not look like you. You may not have blue eyes like me. My skin tone may be different than yours, but we got to do better together. And I think the glue that's going to hold that together, I believe, is the love of Jesus Christ. So I think we got an opportunity to move forward and make some positive changes. Whether you're Republican or Democrat or whatever, we got to want better for all of us. Like if we win together, all of us win. That's the whole thing. Like we win together, you know. So
man, say it again. Say it again. damn. Because we share this space, man. It's like
that's right.
It's like people just don't damn get it, man. It's like some people think that if these guys over here winning, that must mean I'm losing.
Yeah.
Life could be going good, but as soon as you see somebody over there smiling, well, damn, why come I ain't smiling? You just get sad because they smiling.
That's right.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. What's the relationship like with your kids today?
Today it's good, man. I've been migrating back and forth. I've already been up to Dallas Fort Worth twice to see him. And God he's a restorer, he's a redeemer, and he has repaired those relationships. And not only that, but they may not agree with my actions or understand my actions on January 6th, but they respect that I've stood on what I believed in. And I've not only that, but I've taken, what the devil meant to use to destroy me, but I've allowed God to work through all that and to create something that I'm going to have a positive impact on the community and hopefully change a lot of this stuff going on in the country. So they're proud of me, and I've been to prison plenty of times for dumb stuff, and I've lost a lot of years of their lives, but they've forgiven me for that, but they've given me a pass on this, and they understand it. They're like, now, Dad, don't do anything else stupid. My daughter told me, she's like, Dad, you don't have to live like that. And I was like, but.
How do you, well, let me put it like this. What steps, if any, have you taken to mitigate yourself from finding yourself in that same type of mindset to where you something triggers you and then you just decide to act on impulse and make a permanent decision based off of a temporary emotion?
Well, so in the Bible, Jesus sent the disciples out in twos, right? He sent them out in twos. And so, like Trey Nine's here with me today, I believe the one fatal flaw that I made on January 6th was that I went alone, because I probably would have had somebody to pull my coattail and say, hey, man, like, I understand you're upset, but we need to get out of here because we want to make it home to our kids and family. Somebody to just say, hey, take a deep breath. Yeah, count to 3 or whatever, something. So I believe that, in the multitude of counsel comes wisdom. That's from the Bible. So I get your opinion and I get his opinion and their opinion. Now I can make a decision that's formed on many different opinions, and there's wisdom in that. And so I think that's how I'm going to avoid it. Surround myself with people that are based in the Bible and the love of Jesus Christ, and that are going to have my own interest at heart, not people that I don't know or know what's going on in the crowd or anything like that. So I believe that, that surrounding myself with good people and just having somebody with me,
I always tell my kids, if you're going to do something stupid, make sure it's your idea. So at least you made sure it was your idea, because to me, I would feel like a double fool if I was in jail because I followed the wrong person,
Right.
So if I did it and it was my idea, hey, I can live with it, Yeah, I could live with that. When you think back about the January 6th, and like you said, at what point did you know that you were part of history?
Man, it's still so. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a platinum recording artist now. So we would sing the anthem every night in the DC jail at 9 o'clock. We would stop everything we were doing. We would turn the TVs off, and all 40 or 50 of us would gather around at night, and we would all sing the national anthem together as a protest song, and then we would gather up and we would pray together. And so somebody found out about that on the outside. We ended up calling. We had tablets with these, earbuds. We called into a recording studio in Nashville. A guy named LJ Fino recorded it at his music studio, and then the guy that idea it was. He called President Trump and was like, hey, we got these guys in jail that are your supporters, and do you want to help them? We've got them recorded singing the national anthem. Do you want to try to help them out? And so he was like, I would love to help them. And so we sing the first verse of the anthem, and then Trump comes in and says the first verse of the Pledge of Allegiance, and then on and on throughout the song. We alternate back and forth. But they released it as on iTunes and Google Play as a single. It's called Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir, and the song is called Justice for All, but they released it as a single and it went platinum. So when that happened, I was kind of blown away that so now technically, even though I cannot sing and I wouldn't dare get on this microphone right here and sing for you, but the tide kind of started to turn. You know, people started perceiving us as political prisoners. Trump started coming out and calling us the J6 hostages. I mean, since I've been out here in Houston, I've had people. I've been in a restaurant and somebody's like, "Yeah, I'll go eat with a friend," and they're like, "Yeah, I'm here." They'll run into people they know and they'll say, "Yeah, I'm here with my friend that just got out of federal prison. He was pardoned by President Trump for the January 6th stuff," and they're like, "Man, you're a hero. Thank you for your service," and all this stuff. Like I just came back from Afghanistan or Iraq or something. I don't take that too. I don't get into all that. But I know that whether I intended to or not, I stumbled into history. Nothing like that has ever really happened at the Capitol. So, but like I say, I believe that God allowed, even through my mess, whether you agree with what I did on January 6th or you hate what I did on January 6th, I ended up in prison, and I believe God come in and work through all of that. Like, so if, just like we lay out these best plans we have, and then they mess up, and then God can come in and turn it into something completely different and make something beautiful out of it. And I believe that's what he's done. And I'm thankful to be a part of it. It was an honor to suffer with those men, like I've said before, but, I'm glad it's over with. I'll tell you that much.
How much money you made off selling that merch?
I haven't made any money off of it yet.
Well, wasn't you selling the J6 merch?
You mean on therealj6.com? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, they said you was getting paid off that merch, man. What kind of money you looking at, man?
We were selling T-shirts. We haven't sold a whole lot of T-shirts. We've had stickers. We made a little mascot and all these different things on there, but it was more just for people to have T-shirts and stuff like that when they go to events or stuff like that, or when they're out protesting. Because they protest.
How much you made, man?
I haven't made any. Honestly, I've received zero proceeds from that. But now the foundation we started, I am able to draw a salary on that, so I am being paid for that. That's what I'm doing full time. The executive director of Stand in the Gap. So that's
okay, and is that with the prison reform stuff?
Yes, sir.
And all that.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
Well, yeah. Well, you deserve that.
Right.
I think, and that's one thing that people got to get over. They have to make sure that people that do activism work should be paid. They should be compensated.
Right.
I don't know why the hell people think that people should be putting in 10, 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, and not get paid, for helping.
It's a labor of love,
for helping people, So that's a cool thing, man. And what else was cool, man, is sitting down here and having a conversation with you, man, and getting to know more about your story. Thanks for coming on the show, man, and thanks for rocking that GB on your way up.
Yeah, I just want to say, man, thank you, man, it's an honor to sit here with one of the, H-Town legends, nationwide legends, Willie D. I appreciate you having. This is I feel like I don't want to fanboy out too hard, but man, it's an honor to sit down with a rap legend, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, Shane Jenkins. No more talk.